Uh, again, back in that period when I got dropped from Warner Brothers, I was searching and trying to figure out how I was going to survive in this business if I was going to stay in California and not have to move back to Kansas and, just give it up. Right. So Week happened as a result of, again, my love of Charlie Wilson was a big factor because in 1988, at the time I got dropped, Charlie and the Gap Band had a joint out called Wednesday Lover from one of the last Gap Band albums on Capitol Records. And I was just a huge fan of that song. So when I'm writing Week, first of all, I was inspired by a real person, Shantae Moore, and in that energy of me trying to create something that was really real to me emotionally, I always still go right back to what I know. Gap Band, Charlie Wilson, where I come from, Midwest. So Charlie will tell you that it sounds like, and it does, but it wasn't what I was thinking when I wrote it. But it sounds like a song they had called You're My Everything, which I love, by the way. Mm. You are my sun, you're my star, you're everything to me. That joint is amazing. Mm-hmm. But that's not near what I was thinking about when I wrote Week. But of course, I'm writing it for Charlie, so I can see how that subconsciously happened. But whatever it was, the point for me is this. The best combination of voices that I heard in a long time in the 80s was Charlie Wilson and Shirley Murdoch on the absolute hood classic Computer Love. Where they trade back and forth and run Charlie's computer love. And Charlie's like, what up? All that. So I'm like, say something, man. Those two voices with Roger as the backdrop. Are you kidding me? So to me, it made sense for Coco's voice to be on that with such a heavy dose of where I'm from, that Midwest soul thing where I'm from. So that's why it's so powerful to me, because it's like me and Coco are the Charlie and Shirley Murdoch of it all on that. But then the blends and backgrounds make it all come together as their own sound. And again, it's just an iconic coming together of all those things. Week is not the same song without the backgrounds, period. People do when they sing along on it. It's all those backgrounds. They love the verses, but it's when they get to them, all them harmonies on I Try Hard to Fight It. Every section that the backgrounds are prominent on is what the crowd is all about. So I think, again, it's just a coming together of a lot of elements that were the perfect things to happen. If I hadn't been so influenced by Charlie, it wouldn't sound like that. If Coco hadn't had that tone she had, it wouldn't sound like that. If Lily hadn't put them all together as a group, the backgrounds wouldn't sound like that. Taj's tone and Coco's and Lily's tone together make that background sound like that. It's a lot of factors, man. And then If I'm So Into You hadn't blown up before that to open the door for Week to be received the way that it was and given the attention that it got, So those things all are basically connected.
And arguably, this is the strongest single on the album because it was #1, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know how you were saying earlier, you wouldn't want to come out with your best single straight out the gate. So, had this came out first, anything else that came out after that, it would have been difficult to measure up to. And then, right. I never thought of it like that, but that makes sense.
Opener for it.
Sorry, say that again.
I'm So Into You was the perfect opener to the marketplace for it to do what it did.
No, for sure. Now, one of the things that I love about this song, right? It's the melodies, the dun, 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 dun. It's like it's constantly changing. I guess the term would be pitch, right? It's like you're going on a journey, right? So it got me thinking, right? So if we separate music into 3 components, right? So you've got the instrumental, you've got the lyrics, and then you've got the melody in which you sing the lyrics. Because the dun 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 dun, there's no instrumental that follows that melody. So the question I want to ask you, right? When you're writing lyrics, do you have the melody in your head as you're writing it simultaneously, or do you come up with the melody first and then you write the lyrics according to the melody? Like, how does it all come together? The lyrics and the melody, that the lyrics are sung, if that makes sense.
It's different every time, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. So it doesn't always come the same way every time. So when I think about weak, this particular thing came from the verses. For me, the whole impetus of the melody is, I don't know what it is that you, not the rest of it. That is where I started with, as far as my mindset of what I'm doing. Like, so it's already doing what you're describing in the verses, right? If you about this and this, that's what it's doing. Call me crazy, you know what I'm saying? It's already doing that. So that to me is the beginning of what else should happen after that. But the pre-chorus should, in my mind, needs to go somewhere else completely. That's how you get there. But my heart starts beating. You know what I'm saying? And then back to I am so beating. You know what I'm saying? Now you're back. So it's start here, go there, bring it back here.
Wow.
And then
I think
is a bridge. I try hard to find it. Is a bridge. What we call a post is the thing you do after all those other things are done. When you got the verses, the pre-chorus, and the chorus, and the bridge is done, a post is blood starts racing through my veins, saying one more thing before you get out of there. And thank God I did on this one, because the something about the way you do is a big part of the climax of the song, which is, we call that a post.
You know what? I would love to hear your demos, because someone just put in the chat, he's singing so effortlessly, purely intentionally flexing on us.
Thank you.
Do you ever plan to release these demos? Like,
I do plan to, and I'm trying to figure out how. I'm flirting with this idea of starting a website where people can just get all things Brian Alexander Morgan directly from me, because I'm so tired of dealing with so many other obstacles that I think that might be the best way for me to set up my stuff. Mixes that I have, demos that I have, new work that I'm doing. I'm just ready to just do it directly to the fans, man, because everything else is such a hassle.
Well, you got vocals, man. You can sing. I want to hear these demos, man. Shit.
Yeah, the demos definitely. Lots of people have heard them. There's snippets here and there on the internet, but I definitely want to release them in their entirety, for sure.
For sure. Okay, so let me go back to the number one thing, right? So this is the number one on both the pop charts and the R&B and hip hop charts. Not many songs are able to top both charts. So what impact that those two achievements have in your career at this point?
Oh wow. I think that the impact was, the girls are here in a real way, and you can't ignore them as just the R&B group anymore. And then when they made the rounds on all the big shows, the Arsenio's, the Jay Leno's, all those shows at the time, it said that they've arrived, was the biggest thing. And that mattered to those girls from New York that didn't look like they was gonna make it with that first single. It was huge. It was absolutely huge. And then also, I think it solidified for us that, you know what, this gospel soul hip hop sound is something that people want and need. And it was separate from Mary J's sound. Mary opened the door for the hip hop R&B thing, but these girls kicked it in with the gospelness of it all, and while still being 100% authentic and pop, without changing a thing about the rawness of it and what it was. They were doing what they do and still crossing over was very, very important to the culture, I think. And that's why I think personally that they still get the most sampled to this day, because of the authenticity of it. Like, they weren't trying to be pop. They were just unapologetically Black soul music.
Okay, so that brings up a point. So you said they weren't trying to be pop, right? Now, have you ever in your career tried to make a pop hit? or are you the sort of artist that you just make what feels authentic to you?
I did those things even after I had success with SWV. I had done demos for Whitney Houston, demos for Tony Braxton, where I'm trying to write in their style.
Mm-hmm.
And that's me trying to do what I think is pop. And it just didn't work. It didn't work because that's not really my authentic way to write.
And then just a random question just thought of right now. Do you get any like special type of bonuses for getting a #1 in both charts or for either charts? In addition to it doing commercially well, is there like how does that work? I've always wondered. Okay, you've got #1. What do you get for that?
That's on the producer side. In the contracts, there's bonuses for when records achieve a certain sales plateau. Mm-hmm. So yeah, yes is an answer to that question. Not so much on the publishing side. The publishing side is its own reward. Just the repetition of it at all. When you're getting paid every time it gets played, obviously the more it gets played, the more you get paid. So that's relative to that part. But the mechanical royalty part of it, when it's physically being sold as a piece of property, those bonuses come after you hit certain, like you get a bonus when it sells 500,000. You get another type of bonus when it sells 1 million, and then on and on.
Okay, and then last question before I give the floor to Emmanuel. I see he's got a question. Now you said that this song was about Shantae Moore, right? Do you want to elaborate more about what that was about?
No, it's just a moment in time where I wrote something that was honest and real for what I was going through at the time. So, and that's about me and Sean talk about it all the time. Like we're very good friends, and we're about to work together now on something new.
Dope.
Yeah. I would refer people to my Questlove interview on Questlove Supreme, where I talk about it, and then her Questlove Supreme interview, where she talks about it, and you can hear those two stories about that and how that happened.
Okay, yeah, I'll check that out because I was just
the depth of, on all of it. But shout out to Questlove again for even interviewing me. That was 2020. So we've been talking about this for a minute now.
Shout out to Questlove because I always thought like, when you write something so personal like that, but then it's sung by somebody else. I just found that kind of interesting. So it got me thinking, was there ever a moment where you wanted to sing this yourself and release this yourself?
Kidding me? Absolutely. I didn't want to give it to Kenny Ortiz for SWV. I refused that for a minute until he cut a nice check to demo.
That will do it.
If you're going to be here mixing this Martha Wash anyway, can we please cut this while you're here? And that's how Week got cut. Because I really wanted it for myself.
Yeah. I could see why, man. Okay, Emmanuel, you got a question. Go ahead.
Yo, thank you for that song because it kept us out of trouble. My sister, she's 10 years older than me, so she was 16 and I was 6 when that song came out. I still remember this song on Video Soul. Remember Video Soul?
Of course.
Man, they was on there and they had these long fingernails. And I remember that as a kid, like, yo, who is these girls singing this song with these long fingernails? And then the song, my sister singing it in the living room, and she ended up buying the album. She played that album out every day when I was 6, 7 years old. Played it out every day.
And that what you're saying is the reason why it's so impactful now. Because just like that happened to you with her being 10 years older than you, like that keeps happening and repeating itself. So like people your age are going to be playing it for your kids and your cousins and your friends. So it just keeps happening. So now we're 3 generations in, and people like Jimmy Jam tells me that his son was doing a report on me about those records, which is crazy. And then to know that Jimmy told me that I'm So Into You affected how they approached producing Janet's That's the Way Love Goes in real time with my boys.
Oh, wow.
Fila Brothers, based on listening. He sat everybody down and they all listened to the whole SWV album when they were creating that album with That's the Way Love Goes. So do you understand how full circle that is for me? Somebody that came up like literally like trying to produce the way that they produced, Jimmy and Terry, those are the blueprints for me. So to know that I did it in a way that was affecting them is absolutely full circle. It's crazy.
Wow, that's a huge compliment, especially from people like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, man.
I'm friends with them to this day. That's my guy. Like Jimmy and Terry, like shout out to them just for being the geniuses that they are, man. Like I'm telling you, like I go back and listen to all those records right now, and they still sound so amazing to me. Leon Silvers too, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing here at my own house, and he brought us them. People don't know that. Like without Leon Silvers, you don't get Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis because of the way their dots got connected. And it's just crazy, bro. So like it's an amazing progression of spirits and souls and minds and hearts coming together and doing what we do. And to only to give it back to you and hear that guy say that his sister, and that's what it's all about.
That's a blessing, man. Like I say this to all the producers I interview. I always try and imagine what it would be like to create something with your own brain, put it out into the world, and then just people worldwide hear it, and right. Then I imagine when people you must meet people on day-to-day basis that tell you what this song means to them, and that must feel really good, you know.
It's beyond, you can't even imagine, like, bro, like it's insane. And then it's multiple generations of it. People's kids, then their parents. It's like, and then their kids. It's insane, bro. JoJo, when I did the JoJo,
we'll come into that.
4 or 5, that was already a whole generation ago. You know what I'm saying? So now we're on this new generation, and it's on TikTok, and Lizzo is doing it to a dance to it, and come on, bro, it's insane.
That's a good segue. You said JoJo, so I'm gonna play the JoJo record right now. So we'll jump in a few years. This is 2004. This is of course a cover.